In this video, we're going to go ahead and download and install IntelliJ IDEA, which is the editor or the IDE that we're going to be using in this course for our programs. Now, this particular video is for a Windows platform. Now, if you're running a Mac or you're running on Linux, there are separate videos for both those operating systems in this section of the course, so I refer to those videos as appropriate. But if you're on Windows, you're in the right place. So the first thing to do is to go to the website jetbrains.com. That's the site or the creators of this IntelliJ IDEA product that we're going to be using. Once you get there, you can come down here and click on IntelliJ if it's showing. If by chance it's not showing for some reason, go to IDE or IDEs and click on IntelliJ IDEA. Either way, click on that link to go to that page. Next option is to click on Download. You're then presented with two options to download either the Ultimate Edition or the Community Edition. Now I'm going to go ahead and download the Community Edition, and we're going to talk a little bit about it once it's downloading, just to save a bit of time. So I've clicked on Download as you saw, and it should pop up. You can see down the bottom, I'm going to click on Save to save that. And I'm just going to go back just to show you the page with the Ultimate Edition and the Community Edition and just talk about the both versions there. Now the Ultimate Edition is the commercial product. So if you want to use that past a trial period, you'll need to pay money for it, and you'll need to pay JetBrains for that. The Community Edition, on the other hand, is completely free, and you'll never have to pay anything for it. So it can be a good choice in many cases to take the free and open source version. But if you do want to have access to other commercial features, for example, Java Enterprise Edition, and using other frameworks that aren't compatible or aren't available in the free version, the Community Edition, you can take this option here. And with the Ultimate Edition, there's a 30-day trial option. So you can try it out for free for 30 days, and then after that, ordinarily you would have to pay for it. What I can do is extend that trial by another 90 days. So in other words, a total of 120 days. So if you're interested in that, there's actually a lecture in this section that shows you how to get a special key that you'll need to basically paste into the Ultimate Edition to get the extra trial, the extra 90 days. So refer to that if you decide to download the Ultimate Edition. Otherwise, as you saw me do in this video, I've downloaded the Community Edition, and that will certainly work okay in this course. Alright, so now that that's downloaded, I'm going to click on Run. So depending on your browser, you may need to navigate to the folder where you've downloaded it. In any event, start up the installer. In this case, I've clicked Run, and it's going to give us the option to start installing. And I'm going to close the browser down now. And I'm going to go through and follow the setup process. I'm going to click on Next. I'm going to just assume or select or use the default location, the destination folder. Don't need to change that. Now, the other option you'll need to know is whether you're running a 32-bit or a 64-bit version of Windows. Now, in the previous video, I've shown you how to do that. In the JDK, the Java Development Kit video, I showed you how to determine whether you're running a 32-bit or a 64-bit. So depending on what you found when you're downloading that video, select the relevant option. In my case, I was running a 64-bit edition, so I'm going to select that. Obviously, you'd select 32-bit if that's what you're running on your or your Windows is running on the 32-bit version. And I suggest you click these three associations, these checkboxes, and that just enables those particular languages, those files that have got that file extension, to be opened up in IntelliJ, and that's usually what you want to do. And then click on Next, click on Install, and that's now going ahead and installing IntelliJ IDEA. So I'm just going to fast forward this video now to save a bit of time, and we come back after it's finished installing. Alright, so you can see it's just about finished now. We'll just let that finish off. Alright, so it's now actually finished. The next option is just to click on the checkbox so we can run IntelliJ, and that's irrespective of whether you've downloaded the Ultimate or in this case the Community Edition. So click on that and click on Finish, and it's going to start up IntelliJ for us. Now, usually you'll see this option, and it's coming up telling us that we've got an option to try and import some settings. Now, this would be useful if you're running IntelliJ or you have installed a previous version and you want to retain the settings that you've configured. In this case, I haven't actually installed IntelliJ on this computer, and this is most likely the option you'll see. So you can click on Do Not Import Settings. Otherwise, there's a location usually selected or found by IntelliJ, and you could select that and get IntelliJ to import those settings and use them in your installation of IntelliJ. But in my case, I'm going to leave the default Do Not Import Settings and click OK. Alright, next we need to go through a configuration section to just set up some settings and to tell IntelliJ what options we want. Now this is the theme, and you can see the one on the left has got a white background, the one on the right has got a darker background. We can choose either. So select which one you would prefer to work with, knowing that you can always change it later. I'm going to select the one with the white background and click on Next. Now there's a series of plugins on the screen, and you can choose all sorts of things. And what I suggest you do generally is leave this as it is now and come back later if you decide you want to install plugins. And just the other thing to note is if you're running the ultimate version of IntelliJ, you'll actually have more options to install plugins. I'm just going to click on Next. Same deal here. If we want to change or install these two things, which we aren't going to use in this particular course, you can do that now, but I'm going to skip both of those and click on Start Using IntelliJ IDEA. And you can see that that's now loaded up IntelliJ. Now the next step we need to do is actually configure the Java Development Kit. And we need to do that so that we can actually program in this course. So the way to do that is to click on Configure, then click on Project Defaults, and then select Project Structure. Now that'll bring us to this screen, and if you're not seeing Project STK showing there, you might have been clicked in another area, so just make sure you've clicked Project and that will show that. And you can click on the drop down just to see whether there's been one configured, but in my case you can see it says no STK. STK meaning Software Development Kit. So what we need to do is create one so that we can actually program within IntelliJ. So what we need to do is basically associate the Java Development Kit that we've installed previously with IntelliJ. So to do that, I'm going to click on New, and I'm going to select JDK. Now what we need to do is navigate to the folder where we installed the Java Development Kit. And I did talk about that in the Java Development Kit installation video, the need to know where that was installed. And if you recall that on my machine in that video, it was installed in the Program Files folder. So navigate to that folder and go into the Java subfolder, and you'll see that there's these two folder locations, the JDK and the JRE. And this number may change depending on when you're watching this video. But the one you want to select is the JDK. So go ahead and click on JDK and then click on OK. And just before I click on OK, it is important to have a look and make sure that you've selected Program Files and not Program Files x86, because there's two directories in there that are very similar. And you can see there's this Program Files x86. If I open that up and have a look, you'll see that there's no Java folder there. So a common question will come up from students not being able to find the Java folder, and that's because they're looking in the Program Files x86. But in my case, I'll close that back up again, we're in the right place here. We're in the Program Files, Java, and I've clicked on the JDK. And make sure you don't click on the JRE, because we need the JDK, because that's the development kit, which includes the extra tools that we need to be able to program. So I'm going to click on OK with that selected. And you can see now the project SDK has been changed here. In the past it was no SDK, but now we've got an option there. So if that's not selected automatically, make sure that is selected. And the next thing you want to do here is make sure that project language level, we can actually see that it says SDK default 8. So it is possible to choose other versions, but you won't need to do that at this time. So leave that particular version selected. So we don't need to change anything else on this page. So I'm going to click on OK. Now we've got a few other settings that we need to configure, and then we can actually move on to start working with program code. So we're going to come back here and click on Configure, and we're going to click on Settings. Once we've done that, we want to actually come over here, down into Editor. We're going to expand that out, and we'll click on and expand General. And we're going to do two things. Firstly, we want to click on Auto Import. You want to make sure that both Add Unambiguous Imports on the Fly is clicked and Optimize Imports on the Fly. And that'll just make your coding a little bit easier as we go through the course. So I'm going to apply that change. Then next to click on is Appearance, and make sure that Show Line Numbers is selected. Now it is actually showing as a default for me, but if for some reason it wasn't checked, make sure you do check that Show Line Numbers. And once you've done that, you can click on OK, and we're actually done at this point. So I'm going to end the video here now, and we can move on to the next video and start making use of IntelliJ IDEA. In this video, we're going to go ahead and download and install IntelliJ IDEA, which is the editor or the IDE that we're going to be using in this course for our programs. Now this particular video is for a Windows platform. Now if you're running a Mac or you're running on Linux, there are separate videos for both those operating systems in this section of the course, so refer to those videos as appropriate. But if you're on Windows, you're in the right place. So the first thing to do is to go to the website JetBrains.